Good afternoon YouTube, and welcome back to Warwick Road. Thank you to all the subscribers who have stuck with the channel and are following my journey with the layout. This is the first update for quite a while due to busy at work, very warm weather and a family holiday. Especially with the warm weather and not being able to get in the loft, I have still been doing some scenery work downstairs. From those of you that had seen the earlier videos, you know that this section had these two buildings here which are from scale model scenery, plus I'd scratch built a multi-storey car park and a block of apartments. The more I looked at this scene, I was getting convinced it just didn't look right, just didn't fit properly with the overall theme of the layout. So I've decided to change the buildings that are in the scene. So I've moved the apartments and I've scrapped the car park. So the car park has been replaced and the apartments have been replaced by these, and these are laser cut kits, just industrial units. So I've put 5 of them in there, down to there. These two have just got in and they have to be weathered. What I've now done is taken a floor off of the apartments and added them over the top of the station, as this area I had 3 or 4 attempts at scratch building something. I was going to do a row of shops, but then that didn't make sense. So the apartments in the original position were 2 big buildings, so I've cut it down to join them together and then taken about 9 inches off of one end, and I think that looks much better there. And I have seen pictures of this where stations do have flats, apartments across the top of them. So I've made some changes to the entrance to the container yard. So I've taken, there were about 3 trees here, 3 seafoam trees. I've taken them out, I've levelled off the ground, and I've always on the layout wanted a signal box, but the only one really was the Bachmann resin Scenecraft ones, which are still quite dear. So I found this really nice laser cut kit on eBay. So it's built. The roof isn't secure because I want to put an interior in there, but again, got to try and find some images of a modern image, modern style signal box. This comes with the frames for the old style signal box, all the levers, I think it's called levers and frames. So I'm just working on that at the moment, so it's not stuck down. So I've got the entrance there. So I've just got to get a bit of fence for there, signage, CCTV. So I'm really happy with that. That's a lovely little kit. I think it's about £12. But what I look like is the brickwork and everything. It's a very nice kit, well worth the money. I've also been working on trees, so I've decided I need a different style of tree on the layout, as the majority of the trees on the layout so far are made from seafoam. So what I used was the Woodland Scenic tree armatures and also some Woodland Scenic poly fibres, which was then covered with Gauge Master leaves. I've tried to make them look like oak trees, just so they are thicker trunks and give a very nice variation compared to the seafoam, which look great, but I don't want too many of the same things as in nature. Unless there's a forest of dedicated trees, there are different trees in different locations. So a bit more work done on the level crossing, so looking at obviously pictures, the anti-trespass mats, so I've put those in there. as best I can based on what I've seen on the internet, and literally goes all the way around there. So I'm happy with that now, and got the light or the camera there, some cable trunking and some relay boxes. But I think this is a Pico possibly, the crossing gate and the warning lights. So the next thing I've worked on is I've got a little tee box for a golf course, because I am a golfer, so I've always wanted to have that on there. But the only thing I've got a problem with is with the extreme heat. I used a product where you put it into boiling water, I think it's Deluxe Materials, and then you just pour it in, and it looked lovely. I did that Octoberish last year, but with the extreme weather we've had sort of May and June, when I came up one day just to get a couple of bits out, I noticed that it had split and started to lift in places, and it just looked absolutely terrible. So in taking it up, it had damaged the sides of the stream. So what it's allowed me to do is make the stream wider, because at this part it was quite narrow. But now I don't know which is the best product to use to put water back in there, and I've got another almost like a runoff stream between two tracks that can last through heat and obviously the winter. Although the loft is sort of 3/4 insulated with like the silver foil, I don't know of a product. So if anybody knows of a product that's best able to cope with the extremes of temperature, I'd be great if you'd let me know in the comments below. So what I've been working on was the TMD. So this has been in 18 months. I just left it, but because I'd used a very light ballast, it just stuck out like a sore thumb. And every time I mean to go out, I'm going to come up here and focus on this, I just thought, oh no, I'll go and do something else. I was a little bit underwhelmed by the whole area. So obviously I spent a bit of money with the inspection pits, the loco shed and the fueling point, not alone the track and everything else. So I figured I needed to have a sort of rethink. So one of the things that used to put me off the area was just everything was so bright with the ballast. So I actually spent a morning, it was quite warm up here the other day, which was perfect to do some track weathering, because I didn't use an airbrush, I just used a wash. So I just got some wash and literally just covered the whole area in a sort of grimy black colour, and initially it looked absolutely terrible. I did half of it, and then when I sat back, went downstairs, come back up with something, it just looked awful. But I figured that I would finish it and then see what it looked like. So I finished it, left it, came back up a few days later just briefly to put something up here, and it looked so much better because everything had toned down when it had dried out, and actually it looked a little bit too light, so I went over it. So I've been over it 3 times, and I think I've got it about right. Obviously around the fueling point I need to do a bit more to show diesel spills and stuff like that. It still didn't quite look enough. So then I sort of looked at some shots online, and one of the things that was missing was some grass growing between the tracks, because it wouldn't get the care and attention that a main line would. So I just, over 3 or 4 sessions, just started slowly adding different colours and different lengths of static grass. And that to me has made all the difference, because if this didn't work out right, it was all coming up and there was going to be no track in there. It would just be an extension of the town scene, so everything would move back and more room. But I'm going to stick with it now, because just with the weathering, the static grass, it looks a lot better. So all I'm going to do now is just progress with detailing the scene, obviously inside, some staff. I've got an old running, I think I've got a 47 somewhere that doesn't run, so I might put it in there, weather it up as though it looks like it's being brought back into service. I don't know what, but yeah, I'm just a lot happier with this scene now, and it's made me want to keep going. So once I'd done the TMD, I sort of looked around the rest of the layout, which was also urgently in need of weathering, but again it was, because it's a loft with an airbrush, it's the smell, mask and everything, so again I just decided that I would get a paintbrush out and carry on just with the wash method. Obviously I replied to Underground Eric about one of his videos about ballast, and he'd actually put there that there's no wrong way or right way to do ballast or weathering, because again initially when I did this, oh, it doesn't look right, it doesn't look right, but just remembering his words that it's all done by different people, so the more people you have involved, the things can be different. So I just figured out I would persevere with it, which I'm going to do. They're heavily used main lines, so they are going to have an element of track weathering. But then I was also looking at a really excellent layout called Warwick Road, done by a guy called John, and the detailing of his track and infrastructure is absolutely amazing. I've never seen anything like it before, but he's now on his Facebook page doing step-by-step guides to how he does his weathering and his detailing of points and the wiring, the line side relay boxes and everything. So I'm going to start going through that and order up some bits. I think most of it comes from West Hill Wagon Works, and just start almost like super detailing the main junction, because now it's weathered. Obviously it's got to have the third rail put in, so once I get the third rail put in with all that wiring that needs to be added to the third rail, it should look really, really, really good. I'm really looking, that's one of the things, now it's been weathered, I really want to get into. So onto the second part of the main town scene. So this is just rested on this here, so that's why there's the gap there. I haven't fitted it in place properly yet. But again, I've done the road, the pavement, and I've done there where you get the tactile pavement for partially sighted or blind people. So I've got to put some crossing signals in there. So this has all been reworked, so the safety rail barriers come from model rail scene, and they replace, I think I've got the GWR spear fencing, but this actually looks better and more realistic. Also painted this, rather than before it was the scale scenes tarmac paper. That was good, but I just wanted to do something different, and again paint pen for markings. But this road in front will stay on the scale scenes paper because it's faded badly, and as you can see the road is being replaced. So this is still work in progress, so a lot more figures have got to go in here, and I may change some of the signage and the shop windows. Some of them are just from the Metcalf, come in the kit, but I might actually try and change some of those or change the names. So this cropped up on eBay about a month ago. I think it was up for about a tenner. So I picked this up. So this was the Stobart Southend Airport road sweeper. So literally all I've done is take all the Stobart decals off of it, a little bit of weathering I sort of do around the wheels and everything, chucked a driver in with his high vis, and that looks good, street sweeping. So I'll put some varnish at the back to make it look like the water where it's wet, where it's swept up the road. Then obviously some brown weathering powder just to show where the dirt is on the road and what he needs to clean next. So I picked this up from Shed Ring Model Railways, and this is a modern snack van. So I'm going to put it there, bin, obviously a few people grabbing a snack, rubbish, litter, boxes, etc. All the stuff you would normally get outside these vehicles, and also just weather it a little bit. So there's a sign and there's some decals to go on this. I'll paint some of it, I'm not sure what colours, I might just leave it white. But it's a nice addition to the station area. So reference to figures, you can see the figure here, the lady third from the left. You can actually see her heels, so she's got high heel shoes on. So these are 3D printed figures I picked up from a company called Model Rail Scenes, and they are really great figures. But the size of the layout I've got, obviously to buy some of the figures out there at £1 and £2, obviously takes time, they've all got to be painted. But the beauty of these Model Rail Scenes figures is they're very well detailed, and you get there's four different packs, each with 4 people in it. So there's 4 packs of 4 men in a packet, and there's 4 packs of 4 women in a packet, and they are £1.55 for a packet of 4. So for me, with the town scene station and stuff like that, these people are at the front, and then I can use the ones I bought from China that I'm painting up and making it look a little bit more lifelike, toning some of the colours down. These at the front of that sit absolutely perfectly. So I've got all these to paint, and we'll be getting a few more packs. So I'm going to end this video now. This is only a short update. With the recent warm weather, I haven't had much time in here, spent some time in the garden, but there's still, as with everyone's layout, there's loads and loads to do. But a lot of the focus over the summer will be on stuff I can do downstairs due to the temperatures. And then just very early in the morning, come up here, put stuff on, run a few trains, clean the track, etc. All those good things that we have to do. But I'd just like to take this moment to say thank you to all of you that have taken the time to watch this video. I really appreciate it, bearing in mind just how much content is out there. I mean, there's masses of model railways on YouTube, so for you to take the time to come and have a look at all or part of the videos, I really appreciate that. If you like what you see, please consider subscribing to my channel, and thank you to all my subscribers, old and new, and all of the great comments. It's really great when I get a comment. I've had comments like, that doesn't look right, are you sure, how about this? Or if I've raised a question like I have done today with the stream, someone always comes back and said try this. So I really would appreciate your comments and the friendship. I mean, above all, this is a community, but in general, really friendly, really helpful. So thank you to all of you for that. And with regards to comments, positive, negative, neutral, I will respond to every comment. So thank you all, really appreciate you all. Happy modelling, and bye for now.